Hello. Today we're going to talk about living with bipolar disorder. I know in previous Mental and Money videos, I talked about mental health challenges that I was facing. And this is it. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2016. And wanted to read to you the definition of bipolar disorder. I know there's a lot of thoughts around that, so I just wanted to read the actual definition. So, formerly known as manic depressive illness, is a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings that include emotional highs, mania or hypomania, and lows, depression. These shifts can affect a person's energy, activity levels, concentration, behavior, and ability to function in daily life. So that's basically what I was dealing with. Mine was basically bipolar 1 disorder, which was one manic episode, which preceded or followed by hypomanic or depressive episodes. So that mania can include psychosis, loss of touch with reality, right? Um, so when those things happen, I'm going to talk about past, present, and future, right? So through it all, um, God had me covered, right? Through it all, from the beginning to the middle to the end. And what I challenge you to do is, if you're going through mental health challenges, to seek God, and also from a spiritual standpoint, and then from a physical standpoint, find someone that you trust, right? For me, it was my wife, my kids. My wife helped me through this all because I'm going to talk about it, but it's a challenge just getting health care and coverage. Even if you have coverage, it's tough to find a doctor, a psychiatrist, a therapist, all of these things you need in your growth and development while you're going through these situations. But I'll talk about that in detail as we go along. So in the past, so 2016, so about 9 years ago, my daughter was 9. My son was 16, I think, around about that. Um, so they experienced this mental health challenge with me, right? And the one thing that I remember back then was, work was going well. I was very career driven, wanting to succeed in life, make those six figures, have the house, have everything, right? So I wanted all of these things, and and also trying to control other environments that was outside of my realm, right? Family, friends, situations, financial issues. So I was dealing with it all, right? And it all come crashing down back in 2016. Wound up in the hospital. So it was just nothing but me and God, right? The Bible is what I had and me. My wife asked me to check myself in, and that's what I did to get this ball rolling and to get my life restarted again. And in the hospital, not that I found God in the hospital, but I really learned to depend on Him and not family, which, I was really dependent on others physically for my well being, double checking with others about situations that I was going through. And God said, depend on me, make me your source of truth for everything. And that's what I started to do in the hospital. I found the right medication, going to therapy. I was going to therapy before my manic episode, before being in the hospital, for anger, and just trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And talking more about my past, it was animosity and issues that I had with my parents, that I talked about in a previous episode about their divorce and how I was treated after the divorce, really angered me, and made me really driven to prove people wrong and to be I was just an angry person at that situation and the rejection and all of those things. You may could relate. So that was the past. And the way that I put the past in the past was my previous therapist, before she retired, I wrote letters to my parents, my mother and my father, just to say, thank you for all of these things, but here are some challenges that we face together, that we never talked about, right? I addressed those things in a letter, mailed the letter. As soon as I mailed the letter off, it felt like the monkey was off my back, right? That past hate, anger, depression, fear, all of those things that was bottled up inside of me as an introvert as I was able to express those things without being cut off during conversations, or it didn't happen that way, or I didn't mean it that way. I was able to express all of those things in that particular mailing of the letter. So that was the past, right? And now I'm gonna talk about the present, because through it all, going to the hospital, being hospitalized, not being able to see my family the way I want, only be able to talk to them over the phone while I was in the hospital, really had me reflect on my present and then also my future. So presently, after coming out the hospital, it's been 9 years now. Um, some of the things that, treatment wise, that I've been doing, one is taking medication. So I see a psychiatrist every 3 months. Taking medication. One, the other is going to therapy, right? I talked about that as well. Being open and honest in therapy, being on time, being real, opening up and saying what's bothering you. So when my previous therapist retired about the past, I have a new therapist now. We talk about present things and then the future, right? So we talk about current events and not old things, but we do refer to old things because that kind of created who I am today and who you are. So you are going to bring up the past a little bit, after you buried the hatchet on past things. But medication, therapy, lifestyle adjustments, right? I go to sleep 8, 9 o'clock. So 8 o'clock, I shut my phone down. I did a video on that before about blue screen. So 8 o'clock, I shut my phone down. By 9 o'clock, I'm asleep. And I wake up at 6 a.m. and start my day. So again, that helps with stress, that helps with sleep hygiene. And when I wake up in the morning, the things that I do in the morning is, the first thing I do is I thank the Lord for waking me up that morning in my right mind, right, and good health. But I also read the Bible, the Bible app and the Holy Bible app, and then also meditate, pray, and I do a mini exercise, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups in the morning, and then I do some leg lunges and squats, before actually going to the gym. And I do a 30-minute workout at the gym, and then get ready, prepare to go to work, for the day. So that's kind of how I keep my lifestyle in place. And it was an adjustment, right? Because I wasn't exercising before. I'm a Generation X. We didn't exercise when I was younger unless you were playing football, playing sports, or something like that. Exercise wasn't a part of our lives. But what I've learned to do was use exercise as a benefit to help with stress management. And it's really been doing a really good thing for me in my life. Support systems. So my family, my friends, I was in Depression Bipolar Support Alliance, going to some of those meetings. But I decided to just focus on my family, focus on my friends, focus on work and mentors and coworkers at work, and really build that support system of everything that I talked about, right? Doctors, family, friends, and just really explaining the situation to others so that they're aware of what I've been through and what challenges I'm facing, right? Because that's the other thing. You have to be open and honest about what you're feeling, how things are going within you. And the more you explain those things, like I'm talking to you right now, it makes me nervous. It makes me anxious to do these videos, but I do them in support of you and for those that are facing challenges with mental health or their money, right? Because that's what this channel is about, mental and money. but more on the mental side, right? Because if you focus more on your mental side, you'll get the money right. You'll start figuring those things out, and which I did as well. I probably had a negative net worth when I started out, but now I have a positive one, right? Because one, my mental health is where it needs to be. I'm focused on God, and then God provides the financial. He'll provide all of the means. So focusing on the future, those are the things that I'm doing, right? And when I got out of the hospital for my future, I said, you know what? For my past is the past. My current life, I can turn around, but I want my future to be brighter for my family, for my daughter, my son, my wife. I want our family nucleus to be better. I want to break generational curses of divorce and strife and anger and fear and all of those things that has happened in the past of our previous generations. I want our future generations to be better. How do I do that? By being mindful, by being thankful, by spending time with my family, quality time, by listening and not always coming up with an answer for everything, but listening and understanding and knowing where people are in their lives and helping others, right? Not just financially, but emotionally, physically, spiritually. By doing this video to you to help you and inspire you to be better, right? So wanted to also talk about some of the symptoms because when you think of mental health and you think of bipolar or schizophrenia, whatever the case may be, I want to talk mainly about bipolar and some of the symptoms. So, some things you need to look out for. So, when it talks about manic, elevated or irritable mood episodes, increased energy and activity, rapid speech or racing thoughts, inflated self esteem or grandiosity, decreased need for sleep. So I was in that particular round where I didn't get a lot of sleep when I was going through this. Risky behaviors, reckless driving, spending sprees, um, and in severe cases, psychosis, you have delusions and hallucinations. So you want to seek help. Depressive episodes, persistent sadness or hopelessness, loss of interest in activities, fatigue or low energy, sleep disturbances, difficulty concentrating, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, and thoughts of death or suicide. So when I was going through this in my past, when I was going through these episodes, um, I felt like that this was the end, right? That you know what, I don't see my way out of this situation. I'm such in a dark place. Um, but my why came. And that was my daughter and her beautiful face when she was younger. She came in the room and she was crying. And I asked her what was wrong, and she just said, I want you to get better. And that was my why. And that's my why today, is for my family. I do this, I do these videos that's stressful, that's anxious. I don't feel like talking. I'm an introvert. I don't want to do this. But I said, you know what, coming out of the hospital, I'm going to give back. I'm going to give back to God. I'm going to give back to you. And that's why I do these videos. That's why I get up every day. That's why I go to the gym. That's why I run a mile on Saturday. That's why I work out every day. That's why I read the Bible every day. That's why I pray every day. And that's why I stay positive and not get involved in negative situations. So I hope this was helpful for you. I know the video is a little long, but I have to get this out and I have to let you know that God loves you no matter what you're going through. All right. Short verse today. I pick one in Philippians, to give you strength when you're weak, when we're weak. Together we're weak, and to give you strength. So this is Philippians 4:13. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, hit the heart if you can relate. But I'm looking for feedback from you guys. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.